Welcome to Imaginative Visions Journeys, where creators from the entertainment world discuss their journey to turning their dreams into reality. With your host, Justin D. Williams.
Okay, everybody, welcome everybody back to Imaginative Business Journeys. This will also be on Talks to the Geeks, and this is for Hollywood Shorts. And today we have writer, director, executive producer. She wears many hats, and today we are going to be talking about her new film, Karita. Please welcome Virginia de Witt. Virginia, how you doing?
I'm great, Justin. Thanks so much for having me.
And I first of all got to say, absolutely love the film, and I want to talk about the first thing is what was it like filming in Japan? And what I really liked about it too, it really does have like that Japanese style and cinema feel to it. So how did you approach this film?
Well, Koji Ueda, my co-director, was initially signed on as cinematographer, and within our first pre-production meeting, I said you should be the co-director, and he was really excited, and I think it was the best decision I made. So he was able to bring all of his experience and sensibility. It was his first narrative. He's been working 13 years in fashion documentary and commercial, and he did so much work into ensuring that there was an authentic feeling to the cinematography and the interaction between the actors. And it was the best. I hope I get to work in Japan for the rest of my life. As with any independent film, we didn't have a very big budget, so everyone in the cast and crew were there, not to pay rent, but because they were excited to be there. And it was really amazing working with the Japanese cast and crew. They were so excited. The boys, Hayato and Koki, who played Kenji and Ren respectively, were pretty green actors, and they were so excited to learn. Hayato showed up 6 hours before his call time on the first day, just so he could sit on set and watch and learn. I've never seen an American actor do that.
And speaking of the casting, if my notes are correct, a lot of these were new actors, correct?
Mm-hmm. The
How,
boys
how's
were at, how was that?
yeah.
It was cool. The most experienced actor there was Miko Shia, who played Suki, and she would show up for Zoom rehearsals. But given over a decade experience in theater in Japan, I wasn't too worried about her. The boys were both models looking to transition into acting, and one had virtually zero experience, and one had done one movie. And we put in a lot of rehearsal time. If there's anything I'm proud of, is that cast felt so natural, so organic, so present. We put a lot of rehearsal time with them. They were just so excited to learn a lot of the acting basics and how to avoid pitfalls that a lot of great actors make. I was really humbled and touched by their willingness to work with us and to learn.
And that's one thing, like, because when I was watching it, you couldn't even tell. It wasn't until like I read the notes. I was just like, wait. They never acted. I was like, you could not tell. Like they never did. Like this is like their first
Yeah,
forte into the film world.
yeah. I've been acting for 10 years and I see it. I'm embarrassed to be next to that because they were so natural and so good.
And speaking of that, let's just go little travel back in time just a little bit because we always like to get an origin story or at least an
Mm.
origin. How did you fall in love with the craft of filmmaking, acting? Do you remember that moment, or what is a particular movie that inspired you to this journey, this path?
Oh gosh, that's a complicated question. I fell in love acting when I was young. I took my first after school acting class in the fourth and fifth grade in Washington, D.C. And I started acting in high school, but I was an American at an English boarding school. And they made fun of me, so I quit until I was in college. I tried to do something more sensible. I don't come from a family where will typically become actors. And so I tried to do a couple of other things. I studied philosophy in school because that felt the closest to trying to understand human emotion and expression and turning that into some sort of word-based art form. But by the time I was 22, I moved to Los Angeles and started to really pursue it. It was hard. I'd only been to LA one time. I was 11. I didn't know anyone there. So it was a couple of pretty tough years getting to Los Angeles and trying to find my way. But I feel really excited by the people I get to work with now. And I fell into producing and directing just out of necessity. I'm a really restless person, and I've had difficulty getting representation. My look isn't in right now, I've been told many times, and so I was going to find a way to do it anyway. And thankfully, somewhere like LA or Tokyo, you can find people who are also excited just to be working on something.
And that's what I always love about the journey is always, and I've noticed this with a lot of indie people, is they just, when they get a notice, like, you know what, I'm gonna take my art, I'm gonna do it my way. You mentioned that you had to do it as like a necessity because you're writing and producing, but that's really just a triple threat because you not only know, especially well, quadruple because you actually act, you're an actress too. So you direct, you write, you executive producing and everything. So not only are you writing the characters, which we'll get into right now with Karita, how did this story come about? How did the character of Nico come about? Like, what were some of your inspirations for this?
Originally, the first draft I wrote was like 5 pages, and it was just two women, the Nico and Rumi character. And I knew we would have a very small budget, so I quickly based the story around a car so that we could showcase as much of Tokyo as possible. And Mitsuhiro Kubo, who is the executive producer who helped fund the uh, pre-production and production, I funded post-production myself, but he encouraged me to have a bigger cast, and to have more of a romantic comedy involved. And I was happy to do that since the last few roles I played would be like murdered truck stop hooker or C-lister who accidentally made a big mistake and ended up in jail. So doing something that felt, free and youthful and lighthearted, was exciting for me to do something so different than what I've been typecast in before. And I wanted to make sure, I turned 30 right before we went into shooting, and I wanted to play a role that, retained the youthful silliness. Of course, I just wrapped a short film where I played a 25-year-old, so maybe the retinal's working, guys. Damn, I should get sponsored for that. But yeah, someone who was sort of like a neutral evil as a white Westerner. I don't want to create this image that Americans have this really positive influence in the East, particularly given our specific history with Japan. But of course, I didn't want to make someone who was too wretched and unforgivable. And Kubo did encourage me. He wanted me to be the star of the short film. So given his guidelines, bigger cast, me as the lead, I wrote within those parameters, and developed the story around that, just knowing what we would have at our disposal. Haruka Hirata, who's the co-writer producer and played Rumi, is the co-founder and creative director of Big Love Records, where we shot that scene. So I knew we would have that, and I knew we'd be able to have Tokyo at night and a couple of street scenes. So, where does an American who works at a record company and is, reconciling her American her American mannerisms and tendencies with this very new place.
That's what I really liked about it too, with the character of Nico. It's like when we meet her, she's at the bar, she's with her coworker, and she's with these couple of group of young people, and she's talking about, I'm not going, no spoilers, folks, don't worry. She's talking about the story about her going for a joyride, and it's just kind of like that cultural difference. Some of them they didn't hear of this term, and then from there the movie just kind of just takes off into its own. And what would you say? You're also director of this as well. So, what were some of the challenges, not only directing first time actors, but you're filming in a foreign country? So, I'm pretty sure there's different rules, regulations when it turns to filming. So, what was it for you being in the director's chair, also writing it and also starring it as well? How was your mind going through this whole process? You're wearing so many hats at once.
Well, my end goal is to be an actor amongst actors.
Mm.
But I was really grateful for the opportunity. I think that having confidence in other people to be able to do their job without me needing to micromanage them was essential. I think I've witnessed a lot of new directors and know what's worked and what hasn't worked, and people taking themselves too seriously and letting their ego get in the way will often disrupt a perfectly good project. And so I tried to be really mindful about when it was necessary to step in and guide people and when people were doing things well. And of course, I had my incredible co-director, Koji Ueda, who is so knowledgeable as a cinematographer and did so much research into storyboarding and storytelling through moving image. He came in having done all of his homework and was such a joy to work with. We have a friendship outside of our professional relationship. And, mostly we just had a lot of fun and wanted to encourage other people to do the same. And the cast were just, those who hadn't acted before were so excited and so willing to learn. And the rest of it is just, you fall in love with the chaos of a hot set. And, it's something I've done dozens of times in Los Angeles or Montana is where Candyland was shot. I didn't have anything to do with production there, but it was also pretty low budget. And you just you I think you have to be a bit of a thrill seeker to get into independent film.
Mhm.
We got shut down, but we shot for 3 days and we got stopped by the police for various reasons every single day. Searching the car, making sure that our van didn't have any equipment that they thought would be dangerous in a large crowd of people, and then shooting over by the sea. The Coast Guard wasn't particularly thrilled with that. But the policeman they sent to shut us down when we were filming by the ocean waited till Koji called cut to interrupt us because he didn't want to ruin the shot. I know, good
That's
luck getting the LAPD to do that.
that's at least a little bit nice of them not to interrupt the actual take
Yeah,
of
it's
them
an
to not go that.
incredibly I'd never seen anything because I was in that scene and I could
Mhm.
see over Koki's shoulder the policeman and his officer standing just totally straight. And as soon as Koji went cutthroat, he came in and he's like, "You guys got to show me your permit or you got to go." And then he bowed and left. And we hid in the bushes for 20 minutes. They sent a boat with a searchlight, and once the boat
Mhm.
with the searchlight was gone, we started filming
Tell
again.
me again.
Anyway, I hope that the next time I shoot in Japan, it is all above board with all the permits. But everyone was just so down and so excited. It was such a great crew. Amy, the production manager, was just on it. She's very young, but extremely good at her job and was just ready to go far. And we had a veteran line producer from Nyon Studios in Tokyo, Taka Tokiyushi, who worked for free, just, out of the kindness of his heart and his bemusement at our undertaking of this project. And he just had everything so well planned. He couldn't be ruffled by anything. And we just got stuff done. Like when we were shooting in the garage and we noticed that the train was coming by and making a lot of noise, and we had to shoot between trains coming past, he was like, "It's all right, we're gonna get it done."
That's the journey of the indie life for real. But, my final question will be, what will you hope everyone will take from the film? And is there a way people can also follow you, keep up to date with any other upcoming projects you're able to talk about?
I will actually, I'm about to start crowdfunding on Indiegogo. The site should be live within the next week. My production company handle on Instagram is please.extinguish, please extinguish. And that's the best way to follow my work. Koji Ueda, KOJIUEDA Studio is also on Instagram. And he'll be able to post any updates with Karita. Yeah, I'm hoping to start fundraising for my next short, which I'm shooting in America this time, but on Super 16 film.
Oh, wow. Okay. Virginia, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Justin. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you for joining us for Imaginative Visions Journeys. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from Imaginative Visions, you can visit imaginativevisions.com.